I should have ignored the message. It arrived on a dark Thursday evening, buried in the depths of my email, with a subject line so simple it almost felt like a joke. "You're ready." I had spent months trolling forums, private channels, obscure corners of the internet. A cult, or something that called itself a cult, promised understanding, purpose, belonging. I thought I was careful. I thought it was all digital, all words on a screen. But the email wasn't just words. It included a link, a location, and a timestamp. I clicked the link. The map opened to a stretch of California wilderness, a road that ran along the edge of a canyon, winding through forested ridges. GPS said it was reachable, if slightly off the beaten path. I parked my car near the trailhead as the sun sank below the horizon. Shadows spilled across the asphalt, stretching and twisting as if alive. The forest beyond seemed darker than it should have been, thick with silence. I took a deep breath and unlocked my phone, checking the message again. The timestamp read 20 minutes from now. I stepped onto the gravel trail. My shoes crunched against loose stones. Every instinct screamed to turn back. I didn't. At the trail's bend, I saw the first figure. Black robe, hood drawn, no face visible. A lantern swung from one hand, light weak but flickering, casting the rest of the clearing in deep shadow. I froze, caught between disbelief and fear. The figure pointed toward the trailhead. I followed, heart hammering, lungs tightening. Behind me, the forest seemed to shift, the wind bending strangely, carrying the smell of smoke. Then came the chanting, low, guttural, a rhythm that felt primal, ancient. My chest vibrated with it, each beat matching the pounding of my heart. There was more than one voice, dozens maybe, echoing off the canyon walls. I stumbled forward. Another figure emerged from the shadows, carrying a bundle of sticks tied with twine. They placed it on the ground, next to an arrangement of stones I hadn't seen before. The pattern was circular, deliberate, precise. A fire ignited at the center of the circle with a single strike of flint. Sparks leapt into the night, flames licking at the air. Shadows danced across the trees, distorted and grotesque. I realized then I was standing at the edge of a ring, ritual space. The chanting grew louder. Figures emerged silently from every side, forming a wide circle around me. I counted at least 20, maybe more. Each carried something, rods, small bowls, blackened symbols etched into wood. The closest stepped forward, stopping a few meters away. Its hands were bare, pale, almost unnaturally still. It tilted its head slightly, as if measuring me. I swallowed. My tongue felt glued to my mouth. Without thinking, I stepped back. Gravel slid underfoot. The nearest figure raised a hand, slow, deliberate. A whispering sound cut across the chant. The voices faltered. Something sharp, electric, passed through the air. My muscles tensed involuntarily. I looked down. The trail I had come from was gone. Not physically, but somehow erased from perception. Trees merged into darkness. The canyon's edge seemed impossibly close, the drop sheer, jagged. My stomach lurched. Then the bundle of sticks exploded into flame. Sparks flew, smoke curling into the night. A heavy scent, burned herbs, something metallic, something I couldn't place, choked the air. I coughed, gagged, backing away. My foot caught a root and I fell hard. Pain shot up my shoulder, but I didn't stop. Figures closed in, silently. I could feel the weight of their attention, measured, predatory. Their robes brushed the undergrowth as they circled, never breaking formation. I scrambled to my feet and ran along the edge of the clearing, searching for an exit. A small path appeared, barely visible, running parallel to the canyon. I bolted down it, branches clawing at my face. The chanting followed, growing louder, overlapping with something else. Footsteps not my own, crunching on leaves in perfect sync with mine. I dared a glance over my shoulder. Nothing. But the sound stayed, echoing in the dark. I stumbled again, hitting something solid. A tree, maybe, or a rock. The impact knocked me sideways. I rolled, heart hammering, gasping. When I looked up, the figures were ahead, standing across the path, blocking any continuation. I froze. The fire flared brighter, shadows leapt high, grotesque. One figure tilted its head, and for a split second I saw something, eyes or mirrors reflecting the fire, but not a human face. My chest froze. I stumbled backward. Then the chanting stopped. Silence fell, so complete it pressed against my eardrums. The smell of smoke hung thick. My heart hammered. I tried to make a sound, a shout, but it caught in my throat. I turned and ran again, breaking through a thicket into a clearing. The moon glinted off something on the ground, a circle of stones, smaller than before, but meticulously arranged. Within it were objects I couldn't identify at first, vials, sticks, fragments of metal, some charred. I stepped closer, drawn by curiosity, repulsed by it all. Suddenly the lanterns snapped on in unison. Figures appeared at the edge of the clearing, more than I had seen before. Some had masks, some bare faces, all with that same cold, measuring attention. The fire in the first circle now burned with an intensity that made my shadow tremble. I spun. Another path, barely a crack between trees leading downhill. I bolted. The ground was uneven, mud sticky underfoot. The forest seemed to close in around me. Every sound was magnified, snapping twigs, the thump of my heartbeat, the distant roar of the canyon below. Then came a new sound, a voice, or something shaped like a voice, chanting over the others, sharper, deeper, cutting through the night. The figures in the first clearing turned their heads in unison, heads moving slowly, synchronized. I didn't understand how they could hear me from this distance. I didn't understand anything anymore. Branches whipped at my face. My shoes slipped on wet leaves. The slope grew steeper. And then, as I reached the bottom, a sudden clearing opened up. The fire circle from before. The figures were back, standing taller now, as if waiting for me. My stomach sank. I had no choice. I skidded to a halt at the edge of the circle. Sparks and smoke curled around the figures. They spread out, forming a wide semicircle, enclosing the clearing, sealing me in. My mind raced for escape, for sense, for logic, but found none. The tallest figure stepped forward. Its robe brushed the leaves, hands clasped at the waist. I couldn't read its face, couldn't understand its intention, but the energy in the clearing pressed against me. I felt my breath catch, my vision narrow. A flare of fire erupted in the center circle. Smoke rolled over me, thick, choking, tangling in my hair. My stomach turned. My head spun. I stumbled, nearly falling into the circle. My body tensed, every nerve raw, screaming to run, to move, to survive. And then, just as abruptly, it ended. The fire dimmed, the smoke thinned, the chanting faded, the figures vanished. Not with a sound, not with a trace, just gone. I sank to my knees, shaking, lungs heaving, vision blurred. The clearing was empty. Only the faint smell of smoke lingered. I grabbed my phone. No signal. I ran blindly back toward the trailhead, stumbling over roots and rocks until the ground leveled. I reached the car. The headlights flicked on automatically when I opened the door. My hands were shaking, my clothes soaked with sweat. I stared at the woods, silent, still, empty. I drove straight off the trail. The road back to civilization was endless. Every glance in the mirror made my stomach knot. I couldn't tell if I had been followed or observed from the trees. Every flicker of shadow, Every sway of roadside brush sent my heart racing. Even now, hours later, I can feel it. Pressure behind my eyes, a tightness in my chest. The ritual, the fire, the circle, the figures. They were real. They were precise. And I don't think they ever intended to let me leave, unchanged.